This is Due by Friday, a weekly challenge podcast with Alex Cox and Merlin Mann. This week's challenge, watch Trust Us? This is all made up.
Boop, boop, boop.
You got music playing.
Hey Siri, pause! Oh, that didn't work. That didn't work. Hey Merlin Man, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. I'm like a neighbor. I'm like State Farm.
Do you need
I'm a
time?
good neighbor. No, I'm good.
Okay.
What's your worst habit?
I don't know.
Wow, that must be such a peaceful life.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh.
It's very chill.
Oh.
I mean, I don't know, Alex, what do you think is your worst habit? It sounds like you might have an idea.
Oh, no, I don't. I was going to ask you. There's a laundry list, but, you know, gotta...
What?
I think there's a top
Oh, it's
top
one of
five,
those
maybe.
episodes.
No, it's not. No, it's not. I just ran inside from the not that much snow, but I feel weird complaining about the weather because, you know.
What? Why? Because some people you're lucky to have weather, some people don't have weather.
Yes. There's starving children in Africa who don't even have weather. So I
Eat all of your tsunami. That does kind of sound like a delicious sushi fish.
It does.
Delicious sushi fish.
Delicious.
Have you tried this delicious sushi fish?
Oh, would you like some for the whole table?
Yeah, well, we do things a little bit different here.
I don't know how to act at restaurants anymore. We've covered this a lot, but
How do you mean?
I don't. I want to engage with the social mores of whatever is going on, and you know, there's starving children in Africa that don't even have diversity. So again, I shouldn't be complaining about it, but there's many different vibes. And if you're the kind of person who, like me, who doesn't really go out much and just does it as, you know, a favor or an obligation,
Yeah. Right.
it's
Is there a recent time that you've had to confront this disparity?
oh yeah, like I bring this up because when you're going from, I was actually with our friend, and you go from like a fun, chill deli place to suddenly like a nice, not upscale, but like sit down, someone comes to your table, they do things a little bit differently there type of place. And it's like whiplash. Just don't.
So you ate dinner at a deli and then you went to like an omakase table. What happened?
Wait, what's that?
It's a kind of delicious sushi fish.
Oh.
Hi. No, maybe I'm thinking of bukkake, but you got to be careful when you cut it because if it's the blowfish, the puffer fish, you could get some gland. You could get some gland into your omakase. You know, because it puffs. There's a name for that. I know there's a name for this fish. There's a Simpsons episode about it. Yeah, it's about, but you know, like you got to be really careful because people love living on the edge. You know, the Romans used to like to eat food that was slightly spoiled. That was like a fancy thing to do.
Is that true? I don't know.
It is true, but like a common
I've heard about the Romans is true anymore.
You think about them. You think about them so many times each day. But also, just so you know, a vomitorium is not a big bowl that everybody barfs into. It's like where you enter, like it's like a little hallway where you walk into a stadium. That's a vomitorium.
Yes. I didn't realize. God, starving children in Africa don't know what vomitoriums are. I'm sorry for complaining about this, but as a kid, vomitoria. Oh, see. I think that I'm educated. I'm not.
I can't wait to see how this turns out. Like an hour from now, this really feels like, as you like to say, uncharted territory. So, what's your hang up with the African children? You sound like you feel like you sinned. You've got that vibe right now, like you've recently sinned, or there's something that's weighing on you. It sounds like.
Oh yeah, I could have just come in here and said, "Hey Merlin, I'm really sorry that I'm late. it's one of my worst habits when I record at home. I'm like, I have time. All I need to do is go upstairs and plug in my computer. But I know that's
You
not
went
true.
upstairs?
No, because I was outside helping. Because in Chicago we have weather, and I told you
Forgive me, the listener probably made that connection. I had not. So.
Yes. Chicago has weather, and I told
Lucky
you
you.
that
Must be nice.
I know. It really truly is.
You
Buddhist gift.
don't examine your privilege, and I think you're a little bit of a weather ableist.
I am. Because I told you that I was
crippling.
We don't say that anymore. I told you that I know. It was a bit.
I know. Well, I was doing a bit on the bit. That's what makes it a bit.
This is why I'm not. This is why we're not TJ and Dave. I try. I don't think you trust me, Merlin.
Some of us are trying. You're trying to tell. You want me to believe that this is all made up.
I'm trying.
We've been working on this script for weeks.
Well, I also feel bad because I told you, I'm like, hey, I need to help my neighbors with their car battery. But no. I just wanted to say I apologize because
I'm just sorry you don't get the experience of having you as a friend.
No,
It's a shame that you miss out on that because I think you'd really enjoy it.
Oh, no, I would be so cruel. Well,
Which one of you?
I mean, I am pretty cruel to myself already.
Yes.
So if I was my own friend, I don't know if it would be like I would have pity or
It's
if I would double
it's a form
down.
of emotional onanism. Delicious sushi fish. So we're recording upstairs because you were helping because there's weather and you were helping a neighbor with their car battery. Did they seek you in particular out for this?
Oh God,
because of
no,
your battery
first
expertise.
Yeah, no. That's the thing. I am absolutely the last person you should ask for help, and I was.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, the last person.
I mean, John Wayne
in,
Gacy's probably the last person you should ask for.
Okay, in a mile radius.
Unless you really like having somebody read you the Bible while they twist
Maybe
a
you like
screwdriver around your neck.
basements.
Yeah, right.
Maybe you really, really like basements, and he didn't always wear the clown outfit.
Little extra work in contracting.
Exactly.
I saw him play pogo at the Kiwanis Club, and he seemed really nice. He says he wants me to get in the van and help him find his puppy. Boop, 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 boop. Because he's a clown and he's a child killer, and he rides around in my head. He drives around in a white van dressed as Pogo the Clown, which is horrifying. His makeup was just horrifying. Oh. And then I imagine a place like,
have you ever seen a clown that doesn't have horrifying makeup? Have you ever seen a clown and thought, okay, name one. What
do you mean, name one?
I'm not yes-anding.
I'm not T.S. Eliot. This is not the naming of clowns. Title. He's a jellicle clown. And I guess we're trying to get him to go to clown heaven by killing him. Pratfalls and a bottle of seltzer that I shoot at my partner. We are clowning again. And I will read you the Bible while I strangle you to death. It's Kiwanis here again. Remember that song, Kiwanis, sung by Grisabel?
Oh, it's going to be one of those episodes, huh? Oh, yeah.
I was trying to match your energy.
Yeah.
I come in prepared for nothing, which leaves me especially suited to respond to everything.
Yeah.
Well, I arrive with no baggage.
You have,
Don't describe me. It sickens me.
I know.
You love to describe me.
That's not true. That's not, I don't dwell upon.
If I were a clown and you were in my basement and you were like one of my really special guys, do you have a particular, it doesn't have to be the Bible. Is there something that you would like me to read to you in my clown basement?
Ooh.
I don't know if he's got like a calliope. Oh, it'd be so great if he had a calliope down there and a second, much smaller clown playing the calliope. Ooh, coo, coo. I could read you 100 Years of Solitude.
No, I want Dickinson.
Emily Dickinson.
Yes.
Because I could not stop for death, they kindly stopped for me. Did you know that every poem by Emily Dickinson can be sung to the Yellow Rose of Texas?
I've heard that, and I don't believe it. I I
Well,
believe
I mean, just to like take a relatively funny 50-year-old joke and ruin it. Like it's correlation, not causation. She wasn't sitting there and going like, "Ooh, there'll be this song in the future about the Cowboys will sing, and I will write poems for that." It's just that the scansion, just for her form type that she prefers happens to match that.
Well, have you heard?
Do you like it when I talk in literary terms?
Yeah, the yellow rose of Texas was made to be read with every Emily Dickinson poem. What about that?
No, it was originally written.
Think about that?
No, it was really originally written for classic Homeric verse. It's just that eventually a woman came and ruined it.
Oh, they tend
George
to do
Sand.
that.
That's no man. Yates Sand. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right. That's a song that was pretty popular when I was a kid. I had it on like several different like Disney albums and stuff. There's like "Hello, Rose in Texas." I don't know the words to this. Maybe my clown can sing.
Yeah,
And your clown. Tell me that you read every Bible I've got, and your clown can sing. You opened the door and you invited me in. You're Nosferatu a bit, and now I'm in.
I did.
Now I've bitten you. It's important.
did.
It's
No.
important.
It's important.
Did you listen to
because
Ezra? What's his name? Ezra Strong. Did you listen to Ezra Klein today?
I did not.
He did that thing. I love Ezra Klein now. But he
Yes.
does that thing when he's got he's written one of his very important essays, and then he reads the essay, and then he drags in one of his employees to act like they're interviewing him.
Yeah.
It was a different person this time, but I mean, he's really. He says, I don't know if Ezra Klein is right about things, but what I do notice is that sometimes I've discovered in the last year or two that there are things that he said a few months ago that I was like at the time, and a few months later I'm like, that was kind of true, which tells me Joe Biden should get the fuck out of this race. Mm-hmm. It was like there was like a handful of people, him, David Axelrod. There was like a handful of people in the tribe who were all like, look, people don't want to vote for this old man.
Corpse. Yeah. Same thing.
Yeah.
Do you think that you enjoy...
Anyway, my point is, he said strong. He's gone full in now. Not only is he saying impotent,
really?
not only is he saying impotent. Fuck you, Syracuse. I say it my way wrong. Impotent.
No one says it like that.
But what?
No one says it like
You
that.
can't hear it. You're too close to it.
Okay. I am.
You understand? How many of them are they ruin it?
I know.
It's ruined. But he said strong challenge. What the fuck does that mean? He said strong so many times. He's leaning hard into this a 22-year-old woman K sound. You know exactly what I mean.
No,
it's girls with straight
don't.
teeth and good eye makeup and comedy glasses, and they say strong and impotent.
What are comedy glasses?
Oh, you know comedy glasses.
No, I mean, I guess name
you
a comedian. Name a comedian.
I'm not talking about comedians.
With comedy. No. So are they comedic glassic or are they comical glasses? Like what?
I feel like you're trying to steal my identity in like a larger existential way, which is like anytime I give you any piece of information, you try to use it as leverage to triangulate some other thing that's not meaningful. There are people on TV and they're on the news and they wear comedy glasses, or sometimes they have a funny hat. MSNBC tends to really like older men in funny hats, or Zoftic girls in comedy glasses.
Okay. Is Rachel Maddow, are those considered? I thought those were lesbian glasses. Are they not? Have I been
What made you think that I was
from
talking specifically about Rachel Maddow?
Because she is the only person I
whose
can
name you know.
No, that's not true. I know Anderson Cooper. I know Don Levman, but also that he's gone. And
this is great. This is really good. This is like me talking about video games.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. You are wise and you know the terrain and the culture of cable news in a way that I don't.
Yeah. This does not go past me and you. Comedy. G-L-A-S-S-E-S and I command V. Oh man, I have so much stuff I want to talk about with Stop the Madness. I've learned so many new things about Stop the Madness. It's a thing. It's a thing. Then you got people like Stephanie Rule, and and she likes showing off her triceps, and she wears like a sleeveless thing, and her glasses. She has a different kind of glasses. She has more like Jonah Ryan glasses that she's mainly using to make a point.
Yep.
What? What's the matter? Are you okay? Do you need help with your battery? Your 9-volt battery?
I just saw the comedy glasses.
What? I don't understand what's funny?
Oh my
What's
God.
funny? What?
Well, it's just nothing. I apologize. It's
absolutely unrelated. Absolutely unrelated to the images that I've just sent you. Completely, wholly unrelated to the unnameable images that I have just sent you of 3. Be real careful. I know this is a Chris Fleming joke, but it's a different Chris Fleming joke. Be real careful with your profile photo. I have a lot of problems with people's profile photos.
Oh.
And I've said this before. I've tried to explain this to John Syracuse and why his current profile photo is so bad. It's like how you think it looks when you're looking at it as a photo is very different from how it reads at like a 10th of that size.
Yes.
And you want to be really careful not to look like you're a screaming insane person in your funny photo or your emoji, because it looks like you may be just smiling, but like the way it looks on a website is that you really do look like. You look like somebody's trying to put something in your butt. Like you just kind of look. Not a good way.
Is that why all of your profiles are just an illustration of you?
I just believe in brand consistency.
Oh, okay.
It's part of my messaging.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Did you not get this
All right.
advice from the team about how we conduct ourselves?
I probably didn't.
I just saw that there's a sports organization that's told the member teams that they're not allowed to use Blue Sky because it's not one of the approved social media platforms. And I'm not going to, well, for any, just at least 3 reasons, I'm not going to read that article. All of which most of you can infer. I'm not that interested in sports. I'm not interested in internet drama, and I'm not interested in like internecine battles about pieces of technology. It makes me talk like Christopher Walken. But the optics and design. Egg party's coveted as fuck. I love that this is the year where we're all going to finally realize how great Zach Cherry is. This is going to be the year. And I hope it's also the year for Michael Chernis.
This is the year that I find out who Zach Cherry is.
Okay, I'll help you with that.
So
what was I saying about no? Let's have like just one controversy at a time. What was I talking about?
Okay,
Not everything is everything.
No,
I say that, but people are like, yeah, but what about the opposite of empty set? You know,
all right.
I don't know, man. I just like this song. You need to put some clothes on.
You need a special party.
Those shirts.
You need a surprise
are for
party
babies.
because
I need a surprise party. Hi,
I don't know.
I'm the birthday boy. Honk, honk.
I don't. I don't know those references. I have not watched.
No, because I think it's funny almost any time to say honk honk in almost any way. It's funny about boobs. It's funny as a callback to a clown driving a van that has a calliope in it.
No, it is.
Yeah, but how the
only
calliope
funny,
get in there? You know,
it's only funny when you are in the restaurant Hooters because no woman there has ever heard that sound or that joke before, and it's a service you're providing.
White-knighting?
It's the only
You're white-knighting
time.
for Hooters
only
employees?
Time. Yeah.
Is this something you've run into a lot? I used to love the wings, but now I can't go because men go honk honk. I won't eat those wings. I won't eat those wings.
Just
what if I get a horn? Should I get a horn? Wouldn't that be funny?
No. There used to be a horn on this program.
I could get a Chico, like a Chico Marx one, like a wonk wonk, like a real low one. Not Chico, Harpo. I forgot the error.
I would like maybe a foghorn, but a real foghorn, and not this incomparable nonsense on that show.
Yeah, get a cameo from Steve Bannon.
Yeah.
Anyways, what were we talking about? You were mad about
talking
something.
about Zach
comedy glasses.
Cherry.
Yeah, no, before
comedy
that,
glasses.
before that.
Zach Cherry. Before
Funny
that, I was
hats.
apologizing to you
You're welcome.
because when I thought that I can be on time to recording.
Oh my God!
and
Why are
it's
you?
not
Why
one of
is
those-
this going to be good? Ask yourself? Is this going to be good for the program? Is this
It's going to
anecdote good
be-
for the program? Will it be a jumping off point to talk about something else that's interesting? Well, is there a specific way you would like me to make fun of you? What trap are you laying for me here?
This is why I have only taken 2 acting classes, and they have both been so against my will that
it's like going out to eat for you. It's a whole thing.
God, it is.
Can I also say that maybe you'd be better at acting if you took more than 2 classes?
I don't want to. I don't want to do improv.
No, I won't.
I don't want
no,
to.
I hate it.
I am happy to play in the space, but I think every space I need a safe space, Merlin.
Well,
my
don't you have that? Didn't Dougie give
generation.
you a safe space? Your door locks. It's just that he has a key. So
My landlord's fine. He's fine. He's
good. I'm glad to hear.
fine.
Yeah, he's healthy and everything, feeling good. Hail Hardy. Hail Hardy. That's the name of my new country rap guy. Hail Hardy. What? You wouldn't like it if I was a country rapper who called himself Hail Hardy?
No.
I'd sing about the troops, helicopters, gender, the disenfranchisement of the Virginias.
Oh, no.
Well, those rich men in different cities are doing stuff I assume is bad. Hail Hardy.
Oh.
I'm gonna go look at horns on Amazon. You keep talking.
God. I've been thinking about finally starting my detransition grift because are you aware of the detransition grifts?
No.
Okay. you seem upset about that. No, it's
Not upset. I would again just commend you as my dear friend and co-host to everything you do. Ask yourself, is this good for the show? If when you do the opening a can bit, or you ask some kind of a leading question.
It was never a bit. I just wanted to open my Diet Coke.
So can I ask you a question? You're more connected than I am. Could you tell me a little bit about what goes on with these detransition grifts?
Oh God, no!
What is that?
Into leading honk.
And that's when people. Okay, so I love having memes explained to me. So this is going to be something about how. Oh wait, is this something like conservative people are mad about? You got to go fund me about putting your dick back on or something? Like what? What is the grift? Is it a? Do you put your meme coin back on? What is it? What's the grift? And is it happening? Detransitioning is just saying I started transitioning, but really that would still be transitioning. I think any scientist would tell you that. You're detransitioning, so you're saying, okay, I'm no longer a goblin and or an attack helicopter. I'm going back to being a pretty lady.
Yes, but
and it's a grift. It's a trap. Trap. That's funny.
Yeah,
Trap means
that
something
was
in your
funny.
community too. Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of people don't know that's what Admiral Akbar was talking about.
Well, if you're chased, you just gotta. You might as well.
I don't think I've ever been chased. I'm always the chaser. Well, I was raised in the chastity belt.
Oh, that was good.
Thanks. Why don't you go ahead and maybe schedule that third class?
No.
Well, hey, Alex.
Yeah.
What's your fucking problem today? What's going on?
I don't.
Just actually, instead of fucking around, there's something on your mind. Like you're not here to do a funny podcast. There's something. You're doing your Tina thing. Like what? Did something happen? Is everything all right? Are you?
What?
Did you get battery acid?
Oh no.
This is just how you want to be. This is how you decide. This is what you decided is good for the show.
No. I, like I said,
a little horn would be funny.
Engaged in my worst habit, which was putting on. I'm like, everything will be fine. Everything will be fine. And like, it wasn't actually help someone with their car battery. Like I basically provided emotional support.
And you're saying this
for
to me because
two
you're mad
gay
at yourself,
men.
not because you think that I'm like cross with you, right? Like you're saying this because you've
exactly.
disappointed yourself and an expectation about what you've decided, how you decided you'd like to be. Is that the idea?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm totally
and
sympathetic
then I
to that, for
said,
sure.
"Is this good for the show?" And
Yeah.
I was like, "No. And then it was one of those episodes, and I made the Tina noise. I've been very good.
We just
about-
rewatched the one, I forget the name of it, but we had a little bit of a run of Bob's Burgers. The one where she's driving in the parking lot. It's such a great Tina moment. So Tina's like, Bob has gone to buy a bunch of like bulk toilet paper, and Tina comes along, and it's like, hey, you know, we're in this empty parking lot. Do you want to drive? She gets, do you remember this? She gets behind. It's one of the most classic sounds ever, because she starts driving, and she starts at like almost 0 miles per hour, starts driving toward the only car in the parking lot. And Bob goes, hey, Tina, hit the brakes. You turn any direction the entire time. She's going, because all of us know she will somehow hit that car.
Oh God!
Oh, it's the one where, and then Bob Odenkirk is the crooked insurance guy, and
Yeah.
Tina's barbecuing and sets his house on fire.
I remember that because I had almost the same situation, but in reverse. Like, hey, Alex, you've got your
A car was
permit.
moving toward you slowly.
I was moving backwards, and my grandpa was like, "Hey, there's no other cars in the driveway. You just got your permit. I'll show you how to back it up." And he went
Right.
at less than a mile per hour.
And this is like you're around 15, 16?
Yeah, I was 15, and so it was far past Tina age. I should have been capable and not going in the car like I was the entire time. But yet, I still ruined 2 bumpers in the
them.
process.
They got ruined.
Two
ruined.
And insurance did
So
not cover
your
it.
Grampy's Peepaw's car and the recipient, the bottom car.
Yes, luckily they were both family cars, so it was kind of like a verse situation.
Luckily to you.
Yeah.
Peepaw probably didn't love that.
Beforehand, I'm like, "You're responsible for this. You're responsible for this."
It's like hitting the dog with a newspaper, and the dog hits you back with a dog newspaper. It just doesn't seem right.
Oh, first time in my life I heard him say, "Wow, you really fucked up." And I'm like, yes, I did, Peepaw.
Were you playing the Tarzan soundtrack at the time?
I'm sorry, Peepaw. Oh,
You'll be in my heart. You claim you've seen Chris Fleming Hell, but I don't think you have.
That's about how Tarzan, the Phil Collins Tarzan soundtrack goes extremely hard for what was going to be a like one and done Disney movie.
Do you remember
And
so you know the bit I'm talking about, though, right?
I mean, vaguely.
I think that's a really good movie, and I like the soundtrack. But I also like his joke about, no, Phil, we just wanted you to do one song. You did not need to bring us 2 CDs of material. Oh my God, these CDs are so heavy. There's so much music on here. We didn't know you were going to do like a La Boheme style operatic score for this entire animated feature.
Yeah, that's more based
Do you
on
remember how cute
the
he
book.
is? You're based. Do you remember how
yes.
cute he was when he was little? Remember when
Yes.
Tarzan, how cute he is, and he's got those little poop roll hair
Little
things?
dreadlocks,
I
yeah.
love the way he looks. He's so cute. That's a good. That you'll be in. And it's funny because it's not funny. It's just the way life works. But I was literally, as young people with comedy glasses like to say, I was listening to Phil Collins just this morning. So that's a funny thing. I was listening to Phil Collins right before we got on this call.
Phil Collins, or not really. You often I
go ahead. I love this. I can already feel the question, and I love it. And it's relevant.
Was it Phil Collins or Genesis?
Okay. And what did I just say?
I name
what
the
did I say?
band right?
What did I say 6 seconds ago? That's exactly the perfect question, because it's about a song that I like a lot that I've mentioned on some podcast recently. There's a song that was done for Genesis on a 1980 record, and then like a year or so later, Phil Collins did it on his first solo album. Anyway, do you know the story? There's a song on Duke.
Is he a dick? Oh no.
I mean, I'm not personally acquainted with him. His daughter's cute. So Lily Collins is his daughter. Did you know that?
Nope. Don't know who Lily Collins is.
She's Emily in Paris.
Oh, Oh, okay.
She's not
Yes.
Mrs. Harry Goes to Perry. That's a different one. Mrs. Harris here to scare us. It's a form of rhyming dementia. It's called Lindrum syndrome. And so they did the song. Oh, this is so fucking boring. There's a song on Duke that's really good. It's a poppy proggy. It's because Duke is like kind of their first like leaning into the popness of their prog, and it's a fucking great record. It's got Misunderstanding. Two of my favorite Genesis songs, full stop. Misunderstanding and Turn It On Again are on there. But it's also got the song Behind the Lines, which is pretty good. It's a little bit pretentious. It's almost like a march. But what they realized, I beg your pardon, whilst they were recording it, sometimes you got to fast forward, you got to rewind, and they were kind of like fast forwarding through the track, and they realized at the speed it was being played at, I guess probably double, triple speed, got higher, faster, I guess. But however, like you've seen this, like when you're listening to tapes and you hit the cue and it goes, they discovered the weirdest thing, which is like there was kind of a song within the song, which is like when you listen to Behind the Lines by Genesis very fast, they were like, this kind of sounds like a Jackson 5 song.
Ooh.
So Phil Collins on his first solo record redid that song, but with the Earth, Wind, and Fire horns, and in the like an arrangement. It's not exactly a Jackson 5 song, but it's very close to like an I Want You Back style song, and it's terrific. And I was listening to it right before. My last comment on the internet was to say that I really love the bridge on this song. Isn't that funny? He's a Tarzan.
Funny or is it? I was asking.
Are you having
because
trouble
I
telling
know
what I
if
mean by funny?
Isn't that a coincidence?
What would make it funny? What would make this more enjoyable? What response would be useful for you to? You could kind of just go off the back of that, ride the caravan into the river.
I want to know if there's any sort of Genesis drama the same way there was Beatles drama.
I don't think you do. I can't imagine a world in which you
Why?
are at all interested. I can think of at least 3. But I don't think any of them would be interesting to you at all.
Anything is interesting if it's told in the right way.
Well, you're out of luck.
Okay. That answers all right.
That song Salisbury Hill, that Peter Gabriel wrote that about leaving Genesis and about like wanting to be at home and with his young family, climbing up on Salisbury Hill. That song. After Jolene, and another song that might be one of the best guitar figures.
See, that's interesting. I like knowing that because it adds more dimension to, I don't know. It's not like you need to enjoy Nirvana more knowing the fun ending of that band, but it's, I don't know, the same way you find out how someone is. Oh, no, okay.
In what world does knowing the fun ending of Nirvana help you enjoy their music more?
It does, because
there probably is a way. I'd never heard it phrased that way.
Well, that was sarcasm, but it just gives some
I invented
dimension to
sarcasm.
what was going on and the whole Courtney love stuff,
Oh my
and
God.
it's just it's bonkers.
You were on the internet before you were on the internet. It was a match made to someplace unpleasant.
I was on
sounds
the
like a
internet
Morrissey song.
before I was on the internet. I don't know, as in I was.
You do. You know
No,
what
I
mean.
don't.
You had the disposition and vulnerability for all of this horror to seep into your life because you were biologically predisposed. Partly by your detransition grift.
Yes,
So is it a joke that conservatives make? Is that the idea? What is it? What? I don't know what you're telling me, and I figure it's worth you telling me. The detransition grift. What is that?
People who didn't necessarily get very far in their transition suddenly decide to say, oh, trans people aren't real, and I was a lesbian who was brainwashed, and they make a lot of money going on talk shows and getting brand deals. Yeah. Well,
that cannot be left out of the equation. If you look like used to be Masha, now M. Gessen. If you look like M. Gessen, you're probably not gonna get a lot of Rogan interest.
It depends, because there's kind of two.
He's very interested in the lived
subsects.
experience of Russian political figures.
Oh,
Remember when Dostoevsky detransitioned?
not
Do you remember
gonna-
that?
Just no.
Crime and Punishment pun. That's,
All right, that was fine.
Dostoevsky?
It's fine.
Karamazov?
That was fine. Is this good for the show? How much Russian literature? How much Russian wordplay?
That's a really good question. All of it.
Yeah,
That's almost everything I know about Russian literature right there. I've misunderstood
More
more
than
about
I.
Russian literature than you've ever known.
That's absolutely true, and
I've had more misunderstandings
no
than you have
response.
hot borscht.
Boris. Why always Boris? That's
Boris?
the only good. Boris. Why is always Boris? The second
Boris.
season of The Wire is
Boris.
pretty underrated. I retract what I said. Almost, I think,
Who
like
says
2
that?
episodes
Does Frank
ago.
say that or Ziggy? Who says Boris?
Boris is Frank says it, and Frank and Ziggy say it in reference to the Ukrainian guy who works
Sure, you're not
for
thinking of
the
Barry.
Greek.
I think you're thinking of Barry. You might be thinking of Barry. No, those guys on that show. I've only watched a few episodes, but there's like, what are they, like Georgians? They're Chechens. The Chechens?
No, they're led by the Greek, and then there is some Ukraine. There's
Oh, we're talking about The Wire.
Ukrainian muscle.
Season 2, the shipping season,
Yes.
the union
And-
season,
Yes. And
which some people hate, but I think was good.
I
It's no season 3, but season 4 is no season 3. And season 5 is definitely no season 1.
Yes. Listen, there's not many
But I love
television
Presbelusky.
shows.
I love Presbelusky.
There's
How cute is it when
well,
he becomes a teacher?
Well, yeah, I mean, how cute is it when Ziggy pulls out his dick on top of the bar and then he has a duck that gets drunk?
Right,
there's
right.
all types of Polacks in that show. It's kind of underrated.
Short
I enjoy-
Baltimore is a land of contrast. Did you get you duck drunk? Did you, hun? Being fast is not the same thing as being smart.
Oh, you don't say. Oh.
The faster I get, the stupider I am.
Much like I didn't realize cutting a blowfish in a perfect way was the only way you could eat it without being poisoned, because I thought that was just a Simpsons bit. I also thought that Hooters, for some reason, was a strip club. I still haven't ever been to a Hooters. I just thought it was until I was like in my 20s.
Is that what we still say that? We still say strip club?
Do we?
I would say sex worker collective because I'm much more positive. Can I bring you the dessert menu? If you know what I mean.
We do things a
Would you like to go to
little
the dessert-
differently
wanna go to the
here.
dessert room?
Oh.
There's a dessert room at Hooters. Shh. It turns out it's a clown's basement just full of chicken wings. Little clown playing calliope. I think this could be a Dali week. I could see myself needing to make some visuals of some of this. Do you understand the clown would be very little that's playing the calliope?
Well, really little in comparison to
John
the
Wayne Gacy.
horns, or to
Well, and his guest. Because I
Okay.
think probably the clown would be
Okay,
smaller
yes.
than the guest, too.
yes, typically, yeah.
How do you think they fit so many in a car?
Well, that was part of the appeal. Was similar sizes to his contractors.
Clowns fold. You ever seen an origami clown? The peace project I was in, you had to make 1,000 origami clowns. It's really about Hiroshima. So,
It's one of those episodes, huh?
I'm whatever it is you're doing. I'm theoretically here. I'm the one who has to edit this shit. Edit.
Oh, that's
I'm the one who has to find a place to drop in one jazz break and play the rest out. Jazz break. At 38.59. Thank you. No, thank you. Oh, I officially have a new pencil. That's my favorite pencil, officially.
Oh, interesting. So do I. Click, click.
Oh, is it a Pentel 0.5?
No, it is an Unikuru Toga.
Toga.
I regret saying this out loud. I regretted it as soon as I said uni.
Do you use it in your omakase or your bukkake? It's part of a story
I said
tradition.
I wouldn't laugh as much because I can't edit out my laughs on this one. I said it out loud alone.
Just do what Syracuse does. Just mute the entire time unless you have something horrible to say. He's doing great.
Does he really do that? Just mute? That is.
I had to blow my nose. No, I've heard you accidentally laugh at things I say. You fucking piece of shit. I know you laugh at things I say, and I know you deny me that. It's critical to our relationship, I think. 38.59 is where there's a jazz break. What was the question?
So
I like
challenge.
I've liked lots of different Blackwing pencils, but I like over time we'll like compare them. I've got like several different ones, and usually, I mean, that can mean different things. I'm not a pencil enthusiast. I'd rather just but I do like to know the one I like. In the same way that our friend introduced us to that Tool pen. That is like the only pen my entire family uses now. Is I just buy 12 packs of those pens. TUL, remember that?
Yes, it is what the Pilot 7 was. That used to be my pen.
That was a good pen. I used to use that in the early 2000s. That was a good pen.
Yeah.
And you could buy them at Walgreens. Nice. Well, if you have a
when
Walgreens.
I was in middle school, it was. Yeah. Rest in peace.
Too soon.
Yeah, I didn't realize that the part of the reason why thousands were closing was because of the debacle with the digital screens on the frozen or at least cold, the refrigerated section or whatever.
What?
Did your Walgreens have that?
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there because right. I do want to hear about this, but I don't want to start it. Hey, everybody, you can go to giveusyourfuckingmoney.com, and that'll lead you to a Patreon page where you could choose to give us money. We don't have ads and stuff on the show anyway, but we do, when we record, we do this episode, and then we also do a bonus episode that you can get. So you can go to giveusyourfuckingmoney.com, and I'm not committing to this, but what am I writing down? I'm writing down frozen screen. Oh, frozen! I thought you meant as in refrigerated cases.
Yeah,
you didn't. You mean the screen didn't work?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just writing down frozen screens. If I say that to you in 40 minutes, will you remember what it's about?
Yes, I found an AOL link. Oh, hell yeah!
Okay, will it be good for the show? You'll have to tune in to find out. The pencil I like is... I understand. The Dickerson pencil is really good, but it's way too light for most of what I like to do. It's a harder, lead. I like a really soft pencil. And I've discovered the softest of the soft is the Blackwing Matte, Matte. So I just bought a box of those. And I've sharpened them. And they're great. That's all I have to say about that.
I think that was good for the show. I also have one of those right here, but I think that the eraser is a conspiracy. Have you ever been able to get a Blackwing eraser to how would you describe the way
be the right length or
to be? Because the idea with the Blackwing eraser is
finish your thought. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
The idea with the Blackwing eraser is that once you've gotten it down to the nubbin and it looks like you've used it all, you're supposed to be able to pull up a little bit more. And there's this little metal fastener.
Yeah. It's really easy. Do you have it in front of you?
It's
Okay. So
right now.
do you have enough of a fingernail that you could grab the eraser and pull it straight out? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So let me know when you've done that, and you should now see a length of eraser stuff and then the little nubbin that around it, right?
Yes.
Use your nail again to put alternately on each side to just open up the tiniest bit because there's a little tooth in there that grabs the eraser. And that's what holds it in place. And so you just loosen it a little bit on each side and pull up to the length that you want. And then what I do is I squeeze the the grabber thing, the metal thing, around the eraser and then push it back in, and it should stay at that length that you like.
I've completely destroyed this pencil. And
It's probably because, did you not know there was a little grabby tooth?
I actually, I don't think I was properly using the grabby tooth.
I also just realized
There we
something.
go.
Like, I don't want to talk about it because there's not time. But I think you use erasers more than me, and I think that says something good about you. I haven't gotten an
Such
eraser
as?
down. Well, you realize you've made a mistake and correct it? Do you want me?
Yes.
Do you want me to make you a PowerPoint? Is that difficult?
Tell me
to
I'm
understand?
good. Yes, tell me.
You are. You're very
Tell me
good.
how good I am.
The challenge this week. We'll do this as a big quickie. But the challenge for this week was to watch a documentary that I like, and it is called Trust Us. This is all made up. Now, you tell me I say this wrong. TJ and Dave, Dave and TJ. What's the correct way to say it?
Oh, God.
I thought you had a preference. You made fun of me once for saying it in the wrong order.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. Okay. Dave and TJ. It's TJ and Dave. I always remember it's TJ and Dave because I'm like, why is it TJ and Dave? Because Dave, because alphabet, as I like to say. But
and Dave's the big wheel. So the point is, just let me get through the intro. Mm-hmm. This is a documentary that I like a lot about two guys, I think based in Chicago, who do a live. Have for years done a live improv show where the two of them just walk out on stage with no preparation and start talking. It's beloved, I understand. You've seen them 3 times, is that correct?
Yes.
It's beloved, and I think in a satisfyingly comedy nerd way, it's influential in ways that probably are not apparent to people who are not comedy nerds. But as I said, in coming up with this challenge, because this is one of my favorite movies about making art, I loved Middle Ditch and Shorts, those 3 specials they did on Netflix that I've watched endless numbers of times and quoted. I mean, everybody remembers Short Paul. But like that style of improv, I feel like is pretty influenced. I don't know. I don't want to say directly because I don't have a way to know, but it's very similar to the things that Dave and TJ do. But TJ and Dave, but they do it in a more classic, like, I don't know, I think of it as being a more, Charna Halpern, Del Close kind of way. I don't know. But they just walk on stage. And especially the first act of that movie, I like the performance a lot because you got to ask yourself, do you want the job or do you want the story? I like the... He's going to play shortstop, player, manager. But it's the first act of it where they're just talking to these guys and following them around and like talking about sort of their process that has so revelatory about what it means to be a person who makes art in my mind. And I wanted Alex to watch it so we could talk about it.
Oh, boy.
Are you mad?
I'm a little bit mad at this documentary. Yeah, because when you're setting up a story about how to make art, I think you should sort of explain what the art is that these people make, and just saying, oh, Dave worked with Chris Farley. Like, I don't know if most people know what that means. And just like we talked about in the after show last week, improv is weird and underrated and also more difficult than I think anyone thinks, unless you've done it a whole lot.
Good
the more
improv,
you do it, the harder
good
it
improv
gets.
is more difficult than it.
Yes.
Not difficult. It's more. There's more to it than you first realize. Let's put it that way.
And the way that I didn't like. I want to hear about.
No, it's fine. I don't have a
enjoyed.
personal. I don't have a personal stake in this. It's okay.
You
say
said
your
that you loved how they talked about creating art, but the way that
No,
this
I didn't say
documentary.
that. I didn't say that. I said it's one of my favorite movies about making art.
All right, it's one of your favorite movies. I would like to know why it is one of your favorite movies about making art.
I'm not going to tell you because I will not be put in a defensive position.
No,
We were never even married. How could we be divorced? That was a joke about what Joan Rivers said when she was in Del Close's class. Did you know that?
No.
You don't know that story? It's such a good story. Oh my God. I thought this is up there with Yes and as like one of the most famous improv things. Joan Rivers, like many of her gifted contemporaries, took Del Close's, not Del Close, I guess, but like in Second City, the Compass Players, right? In in Chicago. But anyway, the story goes that she was doing a scene. It might have been with Mike Nichols, but she's in a scene with somebody, and the guy's like, "I can't believe this divorce is tearing us apart," or whatever. And Joan Rivers goes, "What do you mean divorce? We were never married." Which, I mean, there's a way in which you out there who regard yourself as funny would say, "Well, I could make the." It is, but like it's more symptomatic. The reason it should be funny to you is it's symptomatic of people like Joan Rivers who have thousands of index cards of jokes and are like, or, sort of like Deborah in Hacks, like or for that matter, Jerry Seinfeld, or any stand-up in how they approach versus somebody who does improv. And the idea of negating the opening line in an improv bit is generally frowned upon. You can work with it. You have to work with it. That's the point. But, here's another one. So do you ever enjoy the TV show The Office?
Yes.
Do you ever see the one where Michael Scott goes to the improv class taught by Ken Jeong?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
I don't need to belabor this. It's a funny show. You should go watch it. It's a great episode on Ken Jeong, as always. He's a physician. He's an actual MD.
No.
Not a PhD. He's a real doctor.
Ah, gotcha.
But he is a real worm, an actual worm. He lives like a worm. He likes to play the drums. He thinks he's getting good, but he can handle criticism. They call me Dr. Jong. And in that class, Michael, hilariously, because the people writing it, like people like Mike Schur and all those people are comedy nerds, they basically wrote like the worst improv partner you could ever imagine having in Michael Scott. Because he not only has like a certain thing he really wants to do, but it's utterly uncollaborative. He basically wants everything to turn into like he's Michael Scarn and he's the guy who's going to pull a gun on you. And everybody else is just trying to take the class. But
he is the typical, not even the typical. There's usually with start off improvisers, there are builders and there are bomb throwers. And
is that terms people use?
In Chicago, at least.
No. I would love to learn. That's super interesting.
Yeah, and a builder is just someone who is establishing the scene, making the structure of the story clear. Moving things along, setting people
pretty much
up.
Everybody in UCB is those four are great at that. It's so fun to watch Veep and get my kid gets to like discover. Obviously we love Parks and Rec and stuff like that, but Matt Walsh is such a gift. He's so goddamn funny. He had the titular line in Star Wars. His brother shoves panties up his ass. That show was so important for me, And did you know Del Close is the voice at the beginning of UCB?
No. Oh.
That deep voice at the beginning of Upright Citizens Brigade.
What?
Yeah, that's Del Close.
Oh, that's fun.
Everybody still plays with his skull. But, yeah. But I don't know. Okay, so was it... And again, I don't want to have either of us feel like we're on the defensive about this. It's weird. It's kind of amateurish. It's like sort of weirdly shot. But I felt like I'll be assertive. It's funny. David Lynch just passed away very recently. And of course, there's a resurgence in people wanting to have public demonstrations of how much they love David Lynch, which is fine. But fortunately for us also, it bubbles up a lot of good stuff about not just like that he was super interesting, but like in some cases, to some extent, why David Lynch was so interesting. Thomas Flight had a really good video about this that I posted, one of my favorite YouTubers. And I'm basically just talking about, well, you know what's even better is something you can read with your eyes. Colin McLaughlin's piece in the New York Times about David Lynch, which I thought was really good. And what I like about it is, like, first of all, Colin McLaughlin, he's basically, he says, David Lynch invented me. Like, everything I know is from working with David Lynch. Like, he took a chance on me when I had absolutely like no, like real track record in acting. But what's beautiful, the piece that I posted on the internet, the segment is where, let me just find it. It's just as easy. But like, what has he been in? Help me out. Colin McLaughlin's been in Blue Velvet, Dune, Twin Peaks, I guess, most famously.
Yeah.
But I don't need to find it. Basically, it doesn't matter. But what he says is something like that David Lynch. Well, first of all, if you are any kind of a fan of David Lynch and are interested in like what he does, there's a thing that's been happening for 45 years, which is people go, oh, David Lynch, your movies are so interesting and they're so arty and they're so weird. But like, what do they mean? Like, what does the lady in the radiator mean? Or what is it that's in Frank's tank in Blue? Like, somebody always is trying to like, and it's fun and it's funny, but I really feel for the guy because in my own small way, I've been in that position of having to try to explain ineffable things to people that aren't that interested in the answer. And what he tries to say to people is like, well, the movie's what it is. Not as in like, don't ask me questions, but more because David Lynch is very generous about talking about his process. But I don't mean like, oh, he's got like a chart. He's got like a Dan Harmon chart or something. But the process of like how he takes these to me, very interesting combinations of things like just daydreaming, introspection, doing TM, transcendental meditation, and dreams, all of these things, and how he just tries to dive deeper and deeper and deeper into things that really cannot be and probably really oughtn't be described with words. So like, side note, this is to me what makes the way I write down my dreams funny, because I don't try to write it as a story. I write it as a series of incredibly concrete images, because I can't make you feel the way my dream feels. So all I can do is give you the tightest possible description of maybe kind of what it felt like. You're the one who's going to bring what it feels like a point I think David Lynch would appreciate. You as the audience member will decide what it feels like. My job as the storyteller, in this case, is to just give you the hard facts. Like, he's not going to explain any of that stuff because the movie, it's not an explanation, it's a movie. And like, if he wanted to write that in words that you understood, he would have done that. But that's not what his art is. And Kyle MacLachlan talks about that in this article, where he's saying, he was he just was very generous to work with. And you could just tell every project, every person, he wanted them to be in on the process, including the audience. And in this, it's not being cute. In this instance, that has a meaning. David Lynch is not trying to tell you anything. He's, I guess, trying to show you things. But he's not in the business of like making a movie and then like doing a commentary that explains what it's about. It is what you see on the screen. And the only thing apart from that that's of any importance is the process of how you got there. And, I like one of the reasons I've become so, I try to be sensitive to people's concerns about spoilers. I do really much in my heart believe that there is a culture about spoilers that has gotten stupid and not useful. And so I believe that if the art is good enough, it can't be spoiled. And I'm not saying that to sound smart. I mean, can I spoil Citizen Kane? Can I spoil Seven Samurai? Can I spoil The Big Lebowski? Big Lebowski, it's a noir about a stoner who loses his rug and wants it back. Oh, sorry, spoilers. No. Because it's all implementation. Every cubic inch is about implementation. As I will misquote Roger Ebert as saying, it's not what the movie is about, but it's how it's about it. And I think David Lynch was really especially gifted at that. And the reason I say this, and this is coming straight out of this article and other things, but that you're part of the process as the audience. Like, I wouldn't tell Kyle MacLachlan how to do this scene or explain how he should feel in this scene. So why would I tell my audience how they should feel about this movie? Or in the absence of the curiosity that makes you explore interesting art, I don't feel the need to explain to you that I'm really good and here's why. And that is I mentioned that, sorry for that long derail, but that's why I like this movie, is because I think these two guys are so good at what they do, in part because they are very tuned in to they're very tuned into some ineffable qualities of human communication and interaction and thought and process and all of those things. And that can get boiled down to something as, doggerel like say yes and, but there's something deeper going on. And I feel like I end up sounding like a weirdo trying to explain things that I never intended for people to have to hear explained. Like, talk all you want about like what Eraserhead is about. Is it about his childhood in Philadelphia? Is it about industrialization? Is it about the fear of growing up? Is it about the fear of having a child? Is it about, okay, yeah, sure. But it really is just Eraserhead. And you just look at it. Nobody's trying to trick you. Like there's nothing in that museum, well, short of stuff made in the last 40 years. There's not that stuff in a museum that's there to make you feel stupid. It's there because this is how we painted the Habsburgs in the 1600s. It's there because this is the way that Gauguin thought that the roof of a hut in Tahiti looked. And then Van Gogh saw that. And, they were pals. And he's like, and so elements of that started appearing in his impasto painting, which then became hugely influential, really, especially Gauguin, on the Cubists. So like Braque and Picasso were very much, in some ways, responding visually to the post-impressionism of Gauguin. So like seeing those little huts that are basically just cut down to objects as simple as children's blocks. It's basically, it's just a tube and a little hat, and that's the house. Well, that's how we get to the Demoiselles of Avignon in some ways, and Braque stuff in particular. And even though that dumb stuff I just said right now and all that babbling, like I'm not. Of course I want to sound smart, but even more, what I'm trying to say is there are ways that we can talk about the special things that make us make art. There are ways, and there are shortcuts. There's communications. One of the things David Lynch, apparently, he would give these crazy directions to Kyle MacLachlan, like he would to everybody. And he would say things like more wind or more Elvis.
I love that.
And do you know George Lucas's famous one?
No.
Faster and more intense. That would be his note a lot of the time, is faster and more intense, which I respect, because like it's not like well, do it like I do. Like imagine somebody sitting there with like a puppet on their hand saying, you be like this puppet. But there's so much profundity in David Lynch's work and in the work of good improv people, and in arguably maybe not in this documentary. I liked it a lot, but like I like anything that gives us a clue that, it's one thing to ride around on a boat and like feel like you've really mastered the top of the ocean. Like you can get anywhere you want, you've got the right boat, you got the right equipment. But if you have any interest in getting further into the depth of that body of water in a way that's not visible to the naked eye, you have to be a little bit of a wanderer. You have to be a little bit of a philosopher. You have to be open to the idea that there's going to be weird anglerfish at the bottom that are nothing like your delicious sushi fish. It's going to be a very strange and, as they say, uncharted experience. And that's why when we talk about art, it sometimes sounds pretentious, because a lot of the times the people who are talking about art are not the people who make it. They maybe they're I guess technically the people who consume it, but they're the people who talk about it. And I'm not criticizing that, but it's not in that many cases. I think Roger Ebert is definitely an exception that proves the rule, but like there's not that many people. Another thing, just related, last thing I said recently about Roger Ebert's commentary on Citizen Kane is I think he does something that is very rare and certainly very rarely well done, which is Roger Ebert can sit there and for the 2 hour, whatever it is, runtime of Citizen Kane, be commenting the entire time. Everything he has to say is fucking fascinating and insightful. But what he ends up doing in his job, the art that he makes, is he can not only tell you what's good, y'all think you don't want to know what's good. Like, does this get the thumbs up? Didn't what did Gene think? Like, he not only, his job is not really so much to tell you that it is good. He's extremely good at it sounds so weird at telling you why it's good. And not why it's good as in like, well, this is really playing on this Hegelian idea of the tripartite nature of man. No, it's saying like when the way this is shot, the way Greg Toland set up this shot, you will see Charles Foster Kane in the craziest deep focus you've ever seen. He's like 30 feet away. And there's so many scenes where he starts out in a very diminished forced perspective, like he seems small, but then as he moves toward the camera, it really exaggerates how large Orson Welles, how big that guy is and how big Charles Foster Kane is. But then if there's a change in tone, he goes and he walks back over to the windows that look like they must be 900 feet high, or the famous shot where they had to have a camera go through a physical table to be able to show Charles in the front yard playing in the snow at probably 40 feet away, and Agnes Moorehead's face at about a foot away, and I don't remember the other guy, but they're all tack sharp. And so, like, everybody would go, oh, yeah, you watch Citizen Kane, you go, oh, that's really interesting. But, like, yeah, but did you realize that Greg Tolan, like, put lights behind a scrim in the ceiling? That's why the ceilings are so low. They put microphones and lights behind a muslin so that they could shoot anywhere in this one building. Now, telling you that fact...
They built a floor.
Yeah. Well, but even further to that, then, because of the low-angle shots they wanted to get, they would have to, like, basically be in a hole in the floor. Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. I find this stuff doesn't even have to be a good week, a bad week in any... There's just, I think in life, we benefit from moving toward these kinds of things that get us closer to the things that make humanity so interesting, and the getting to join people on the journey of talking about that, not necessarily explaining that. See, comparison is the death of joy, and explanation is the death of art. To me, and not death, but it's certainly like a premature illness. It's emphysema for your brain. And I really liked the part of this movie at the beginning, especially. I loved the performance. But I love the part where they talk about their process. And just, final thing, another thing, I said this in that thing I posted, David Lynch and TJ and Dave, there's a thing that all of those individuals share, and that's trust. And in the case of David Lynch, it's the trust in his team. It's in his actors, his talent, his tech team. But it's also, Alex, trust in his audience. And maybe like certain people he'd like to be able to pick his audience. And perhaps he's not interested in having an audience. He's like, I like money as much as anyone. But, his interviews are so great. But he's not in the business of explaining things to people who can't be fucked to actually pay attention and have a feeling about it. He deals in the world of feelings. He deals in the world of these things that, like, as soon as we try to hold them in our hand, and turn them into things that we can understand logically, they turn to dust, as they should, because that's not the business that we're in. He trusts his audience. He trusts that you people are going to... I can't tell you, like, I remember my girlfriend and I saw Blue Velvet. Actually, a bunch of us saw Blue Velvet in the theater. And we had the most spirited debate/argument for like 2 hours after about what was going on in that movie. Is the bird outside the window at the end supposed to look fake? What does the kink in the hose represent? Somebody once asked, reportedly, I've never been able to track this quote down, but it's too good to check. Somebody once said to David Lynch, so Frank Booth, Dennis Hopper's character in Blue Velvet, boy, he's such a terrible guy. He's like, he goes, what is it in that tank that Frank Booth is inhaling? And reportedly, David Lynch paused and said, something that makes him do very bad things. Which, true or not, print the legend, that is about as good as an answer as anybody could give. What do you want me to tell you? Do you want me to tell you what's in the tank so you can go and get it? Do you want me to tell you what's in the tank so that you can avoid it? Do you want me to say what's in the tank so you can do a better book report? What's in the tank is in the tank. And that's what Frank breathes, and it makes him do bad things. Did you have any other questions about my movie? Couldn't the velvet be green?
Instead of watching the first 30 minutes of that documentary, just listen to... No. The person, whoever directed that, who's ever asking these men questions wants the answers that they don't want to give. They are trying to talk about their art. Oh, you think it was like a
bad David Lynch interview in some ways?
I was like, oh, I got so... And my favorite part is maybe the 5, start... If I would say, well, if you know what improv is, yes, you will understand what they're talking about. But when they are in the green room and you see that they have so much trust, that person asked them, so how do you think up the stories beforehand?
Oh, come on.
And makes me want to scream.
I don't think that's fair.
I don't know, man.
Well, I mean... I don't know. Maybe I'm being simple, but this person thinks enough of what those two are doing to want to have insight into what it is that they're doing. And I doubt that person would have put that much effort into this project if they just thought the answer was, go out and be funny and do Adam Sandler bits.
I hope so. But I hope so.
Anyway.
The green room onward, when they're just dicking around and playing with the darts, and you think, this is just like, these guys are just goofing around.
They're just when they're out on the street and they're like describing the people, and it's not for any reason. It's really almost like you're just watching somebody warm up. To your point, though, I think one of my favorite anyway, I don't say best anymore, one of my favorite parts of the movie is around that time. And so, we mentioned this last week, but just so you know, the way that this works, to understand like why this is interesting, I think, there's a statistic that went around for 50 years that I don't think anybody ever bothered to check. Americans' second biggest fear in life is death, and their single biggest fear is public speaking. And I don't know if that's true, but it feels pretty close to a lot of experiences from people I know, where like the thing they want to do least in the world. My wife, like when I got on propanolol, she was like, "Oh yeah, beta blockers. A bunch of the docs take those before they give presentations." Like, well, I mean, they're very mild, but people, the idea. So imagine this though, right? You and your pal. How close is this to like a Tina Belcher dream? There's a stage. There's this small stage in this, what do you call it? Black box theater, right? Like this little theater stage with 3 chairs on it. And you and your pal, and you get to pick anybody you want. You're going to enter, I think, from different sides of the stage. You enter the stage, the lights are up, applause, applause, applause. You introduce one another, and then you say, "Trust us, this is all made up," blackout. Lights come back up. There are now the same 2 men standing on stage, usually like kind of near each other, right? I don't know, but specifically in this instance, in the movie and the show that's in the movie, I instantly, as much as I love performing and why it's the only thing that makes me feel alive in a lot of ways, like I felt I got the willies watching this, because you see these 2 guys come out and just stand there and look at each other, and you're like, your first impulse is like, okay, where's the funny? But they're just standing there. It's probably less than this, but it felt like it had to be 20 seconds. They're just out there and looking at each other. And then TJ nods a little bit, just keeps looking Dave straight in the eyes. And then Dave, cut to the reverse shot, and he's kind of like nodding. Nothing happens. Nobody says anything. And they're not sweating it. Whatever is happening has already started happening. You think they haven't made a joke yet. You may, if you're simple. Oh, they haven't made a funny joke yet. They haven't made a joke about occupations and toilets. So this can't obviously be improv yet. They're just trying to remember their lines or something, like to be callow about it. They just look at each other. And then what was the exact line? It's something TJ says to Dave, which is something like, what did he say? "You'll get through it." Is that the line? Something like that?
Don't sweat. You can't sweat it, man.
You'll get through it. You'll get through it. They say you got to. It's like an injury. You got to like breathe into the injury. Okay, so at this point now they're talking. What has been established? I don't know. And you know what? Listen to me so closely. They don't know either. At this point, you have the same amount of information that TJ and Dave have. As I like to say to my child, you're watching the same show I am. If you were paying attention, you didn't miss anything because we're watching the same thing. All you know is there's these 2 people talking. Are these brothers at a funeral? Are these people who work together? Are these astronauts? Like, we don't know. And at this point, it doesn't matter, because this is not going anywhere except next. We're not going to this other place over here where, like, you've watched this 6 times and you like to tell your friends about the funny end. You're watching something people are making something right in front of you from absolutely nothing. Well, accepting, of course, the fact that they have years of experience and trust each other. But that's the part that I love, is when they're talking about that trust and that moment and how it starts. And like, it is admittedly, to me anyway, a relief when after probably 3 minutes, after a minute or so, you realize it's a workplace. Put differently, TJ and Dave realize it's a workplace. That's really the way to think about this. Which is, okay, I see. So this is going to be a sketch, a little funny skit that they do about workplace things. And it's not. It just keeps moving with these same two characters. And it soon becomes apparent that the thing that the guy, the Dave, is really fretful about is the company softball team. And then things start to happen. And they assume, and I always feel like you got to tell people. I do feel like it's important to tell people. Just be ready for this. There are a bunch of points in the show when the performers, the two performers, will be playing not only different characters. They usually do that by being in a different place, but they'll also do a thing that's really going to twist your melon, which is like there might be a scene, and they're not going to tag and like do a big herald thing. No, they will just suddenly become each other's characters by moving position, and suddenly. The manager is the secretary is the manager. Open or closed? Do you want it open or closed? A bit that's always funny to me. The do you want it open or closed bit. It's funny in Severance. It's funny in Dave and TJ. So, but Dave says that. That's the part that I really love in the documentary part is him just saying that like we have this trust in each other. And if you wanted to try to boil it down to something that's like a hot life hack takeaway, you see him he's describing how, but like they're like, we'll look at each other and I'll see something in his eye and he'll see something in my eye. And because they trust each other so much, I don't know if this is an exact quote, but they're basically saying like, I can tell we've started to connect on something. I just don't know what it is yet. But because I trust this other person, we have somewhere we're going to go with this. Also, let's just get another thing out of the way. I also have a collection of, I think, 9 of their shows. And I haven't watched them all. I mean, I'm not a masochist. I can't watch that much improv comedy. But like
the 3 on Vimeo is, I think they are all actually not better, but are weirder and more.
Well, they might have chosen that one
really
because
cool.
It worked with,
it does.
the point. Mm-hmm. But some of them are definitely like a lot funnier than this one. But as much as I do come to improv as a consumer and fan, I come to it for the comedy. In this instance, I'm interested also in the process. But that's the thing, is the way that they trust each other, the way that David Lynch trusts us, the way that I trust you and hopefully you trust me. And then as soon as we try to talk about it, again, it turns to ash because it's you end up, as I like to say, crushing the bunny. Like trying to put all of these constructs and models on things are very useful for talking about all kinds of things in life. But in terms of the actual performance, I don't think I'd want to watch too many shows where a bunch of improvisers come out and do improv about improv. Like, and then explain to us which part was funny. Like, I would not like that at all. But so maybe I'm just being vulnerable, and maybe I'm seeing too many threads through things that aren't really there. But that interest in trust and that interest in really it's not that you have to become a weirdo, but in not shying away from the things that defy easy explanation. Not just whether the earth is flat or not, but as in like the question that Severance asks, who am I? Right? We tend to shy away from those kinds of questions if we don't have a framework that we could put that in, that we can, articulate well to our clergy or our spouse. And like, I'm very drawn to that world, and I'm very drawn to the other people who are drawn to that world. And that's why sometimes if I get yanked out of that world of art to talk about what we call the continent of Australia, I feel like you're missing the thread a little bit on what this is about. I didn't come here to argue about geography. I didn't come here to argue about technology. I came here to tell you about something I love. And if you speak my patois, we'll know pretty quickly. We'll drop Guided by Voices lyrics to each other. Like, Godspeed You Black Emperor yesterday. I was having fun riffing with somebody about that. If I make a joke to somebody about opening your wallet and discovering it's full of blood, that's funny to that person. That's not, somebody else is going to go, oh my God, why would there be blood in my wallet? That's horrible. And then I'd have to explain why they didn't get it. And now we're not even friends. Some people have a much higher tolerance for things that require that level of trust. And I love that. It's not a very cool thing. It's not you're not going to get laid from that stuff, but like it is deeply satisfying.
Well, yeah, you are.
It's deeply satisfying in a life way to make the connections to those kinds of things apart from your wedding day and the day somebody dies.
And now people don't need to watch the documentary except for the start of the green room and the show, and immediately as they come off stage, and they don't start talking about like, was that funny or not, but the technicalities just of theater and like, when I was switching characters, did I do that right? And then there's,
I can imagine having fascinating conversations between the two of them of like, it ended up being good that I misunderstood what this was, but then you played off of the way that was changing. Because again, you're watching this. We're like the way the Tralfamadorians look at Billy Pilgrim. I mean, we see this as a performance we get to watch and rewind. But I would say you'll potentially enjoy it more and enjoy it more deeply by realizing you're in the room with two people who are making something up. Trust us.
Well, and you see that trust immediately after they get off stage. They know what was good and what wasn't. And I wanted the film to just showcase more of that. And like you even said, when they're in the park, they're observing people, and you see that incredibly intimate relationship and how it does not affect what they are. Apparently what the filmmaker was trying to do was to show that what they I'm like, this can't be.
It's hard for me to believe that you are this outraged about this Anodyne movie.
I don't like when people ask uninteresting questions. It's kind of the Steve Jobs book.
Well, the person doesn't ask any questions at all. It's a fly on the wall sort of documentary, don't you think?
Well, who do you... I mean, obviously not on screen, people aren't asking questions, but there's talking heads, and someone's asking them questions. And the very end, though, one of the last... there was two. When TJ immediately goes out on stage, he says something that I have heard a couple performers talk about, but never ever an improviser. He says, I like to look at the audience because I remind myself that they're
when he's like shielding his eyes from the lights. Yeah. I love that too.
And he's actually looking at the audience. It's not just to remind them that, hey, I am here.
Maybe put differently, he's looking at people.
Yes.
He's not looking at a group.
Yeah. And that, I don't think, I know most performers don't do that. But at the very, very end, after they've, done their cool down in the green room and there's just shots of the empty theater, I think it's Dave who says, because we trust each other, and all of the good, interesting things that you said about trust, pretty much all that is at the end of the documentary. He says, because we trust each other, we are lucky enough to just be dropped into something like, he says something like, we are dropped into a little piece of time. Whatever's happening, it has already started. We're just suddenly in that moment.
Right. I do.
We are living.
Yes.
And yeah. And then he says,
It's like, but like the implication is like, we like to think that every scene starts when we walk into it in life. Like, even if it's somebody on their deathbed, if we walk into the room and it's like, oh my gosh, Mr. Guy is here. Yeah, but the idea of like, we're just joining something that happened before we were there, right? Mm-hmm. That is a really good insight.
Mm-hmm. And it was just a beautiful thing about how, all of these characters, they go on to have lives and marriages and divorces and have kids and die a natural death or die in a horrible accident.
Player manager. What does that mean?
What is Claire? Poor Claire.
Do you want an opener closed? Blackout. I think my bell needs to be tuned.
Ooh.